Not everyone needs to understand your true motives. Not everyone needs to understand your purpose. Not everyone needs to understand your mission.
Everyone likes the video version because they get to see yourself, for example, the real version of you outside of the shooting line. Let's face it, on the shooting line, we're busy, we're doing things, we're trying to perform. Outside of there, you get a more realistic version of the person that you are. And I think that's what's kind of cool about doing it that way. So anyways, production side, the value is in the words that you have to provide. That's what's important. So,
Thank you.
And that's what people listen for. That's what they listen for. They don't care. I mean, how many podcasts do we do where it's just audio? There's no video. So don't sweat the small stuff. I know I don't. I'm just happy that you were able to take time out of your training and your schedule to be able to answer a few questions and just talk to people how this is cliche, how you peak in your game. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome to the Peak Archery Project, Sarah. It's an honor to have you here, fellow Hoyt shooter. You can see everybody when you watch the video version. There's a whole line of Hoyts hanging on the wall behind her. Sarah, can you just give the listeners of this podcast an introduction, where you're from, stuff like that?
Okay, so my name is Sara Lopez. I'm from Colombia. I'm 27 years old. And I've been shooting for 14 years, 10 years in the national team. I was a med student and also an archer, but since I decided to focus on archery, I stopped med school. And now I'm focusing only on archery. And I've been shooting really well in the last 10 years. And I really enjoy representing my country. And I'm obsessed with archery. It's the thing that I love the most.
That's awesome. 14 years. So you got into it as a teenager. How did you find archery? Like, what was the introduction? Where did it start for you, the journey?
So when I was little, I used to be really active. I used to play volleyball, soccer, basketball, tennis. I went to English classes, piano lessons, cooking classes. I did everything. And my brother, he didn't. So my father told him that you have to find something to do in the afternoons because your sister is doing all these activities and you're not. And his best friend, he was an archer. And we didn't know that existed at all. And even in a small city like ours. So it was really weird to find this kind of sport here. And he decided to go to some classes, like 4 or 5 days later. I was with my father and we had to pick him up from archery lessons. So I went to the fields and there was only one girl there. Between like 40 archers, only one girl. And she was shooting compound. So when I first thought about archery, I just thought like old bows and wooden arrows. And then I saw a compound bow and it was really amazing to see this huge thing in the hands of a really pretty girl shooting arrows. It was really amazing for me to see that. So I decided to start my lessons. And I just fell in love with archery. I stopped going to all my other activities and I just focused on archery. And I had my first nationals like 2 or 3 months later. And I did really well in my category. I was junior. And I got second place in all the categories. So for me, it was like a challenge to go to my second nationals and start winning gold medals. And I fell in love with archery that way.
That's incredible. I listened to a previous podcast you did during COVID with PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery and Competition Archery Media. And you talked about your coach and that, do you still have the same coach?
When I started, we had a coach and he decided to leave. And it was really hard for me because I used to think that he was the only coach that would help me like achieve my goals. Yeah. And then we had a new coach. He's my actual coach. He's a national coach. He's from Venezuela. Okay. And there was a time in like the World Cup circuit where when Venezuela was in a really good level. And then due to all this situation, politics and stuff, my coach decided to find another job. So he came to my local team and he decided to stop working with us. And then he just became the national coach, and he's been working with the whole team. And we have several world championships, world titles, world records, not only me, the whole team. So I've been working with him since 2013, I believe.
Okay. So what's your coach's name?
Ever.
Say that slower.
Ever. Like ever.
Okay. Yeah,
Ever.
okay. Okay. And does your coach does your coach is it only compound, or is he the coach for the whole team?
He trains compound and recurve in my local team. He's the head coach. He trains recurve and compound, but in the national team, he only focus on compound.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So I guess with that being said, let's talk about your training. The theme of the podcast is peak. Where are you peaking at? What do you do? What are the key components? What's the training look like that keeps Sara Lopez at the top of her game? What are the things that, and I guess the reason that this is a constant theme with this idea is that there's a lot of people out there that shoot archery for fun. We all have fun. Winning is fun. But at the same time, a lot of people don't realize, and the one thing I've come to realize as someone who has access to and speaks with a lot of the top shooters in the world, there's a lot that goes into being at the peak. There's a lot. And I don't think that kids who aspire to be just like you, to be a world number one at some point in time, a world champion, world record holder, whatever, they don't necessarily grasp the concept of what it takes to be that shooter. So can you dive into all of those details as much as you feel comfortable or can recall? What does it take for Sara to be at the top of her game?
Well, I think it started since I was little. My father always taught me to do things as good as I can do them. Like, if you can't do something right, then don't do it at all. And well, going to this field and watching only one girl shooting, it also made me realize that I can beat the men. And training with them made me also like reach their level, because let's be honest, the level of the women was really low a couple years ago. Now it's reaching a lot, and you can see in some competitions that the girls shoot even better than the guys. So for me, I started in an all girls school my whole life. So going to the archery field and started to talk to boys, it was really shocking for me because I wasn't used to that environment. And then they took me like the little sister. So they teach me a lot, and I used to train against them and compete with them.
Sure.
And that made me a better archer. Then in the national team, there was this like little competition between us, I mean the girls and the guys.
Sure.
And we started to train with them to beat them, and they started to train with us to beat us. So that got us in a really good level. And then when I started to compete internationally in some events, I used to shoot better in qualifications than the men. So there was comments and people like talking, and I started to realize that I can do good scores. I can do great things if I focus on representing the women and trying to make the companies look at us and pay us equally. And now we're seeing that. So the motivation for like shooting good at the beginning was to prove myself that I can do whatever I want to do. Then it was to prove people wrong. For example, in school, when I was in med school, I told my teachers I want to go to this World Cup. They were like, no, you can't. Or even you have to like you get zeros in your grades if you go. And I say, okay, I don't care, I will go. And then I won my first World Cup. So then my motivation was to prove them wrong. And now in this moment in my life, I realized that my motivation can't be proving people wrong or just like wanting medals and money. That's not the motivation. I just want to be happy. When COVID hit, I lost all my motivation. We had some people that we lost. So I realized that medals and money and recognition is not everything. I just want to be happy. And every year I get these comments like, "Oh, she's now number 2 in the world. She's lost. She's not the same anymore." Like, being number 2 is not bad. I've
No,
been number
in the
1 for
world,
10 years.
in the
Being
world.
number 2 is not
Yeah,
bad, or being
yeah.
number 5 is not bad, or being the last one is not bad.
No.
As long as you enjoy what you're doing, and as long as you are happy with what you're doing and you represent your country with love, that's what matters. So I've been changing my motivation every year. But at the beginning, it was to be better than the men's, and now
Yeah.
it's just like I just want to have fun.
I think it's important to understand, especially for, because I know there's a lot of youth shooters, like teenagers, like older teenagers and younger shooters that listen to this podcast and my other one. It's easy to be an underdog, and it's easy to strive to get to that number 1 spot. What most kids or new shooters or young shooters don't realize is the level of commitment and the difficulty of staying there, how hard it is. So I'm glad that you brought that up, like understanding, like, that was my motivation might have been to beat this person, to beat that person, to win this medal, to hit this podium, to whatever. But sooner or later you can accomplish all of those things, but where's the motivation when all that comes to a close? And COVID definitely taught that to some people, because we couldn't do anything. It was just, and if you don't just enjoy shooting your bow during COVID, it could be tough, because you don't have any competitions going on. You don't have anything to train for, look forward for. So it sounds like you experienced some tremendous growth during, or I should say, during and after COVID, realizing like there's a lot more to this than just the competition side, and I have to change my ways. So how does that go forward for Sara Lopez? What's the change in your mental process? And I don't want, you don't have to dive super deep into that, but like, where do you put yourself for training wise? Is it okay, well, I have X amount of days I have to shoot, X amount of arrows I have to shoot, or like how did that change for you then, as in training, as in preparing? What's the difference now?
Well, I work really close to my coach, because we like to prepare the amount of arrows that I shoot according to the competitions that I have.
Oh,
For
okay.
example, I have nationals in 2 days, and we're trying to focus on good scores but lower arrows. That means if I only have to shoot 120 today, I have in my mind I have to shoot 120 tens. So
Gotcha.
I like to focus on more tens but lower arrows. Then when I'm not in competition, I tend to shoot more arrows to work on technique. But it doesn't matter if I shoot a lot of tens. I just want to work on my technique. And I used to be really close in terms of shooting back tension, pull tension, and working on the gym, going to therapy. So now I'm more open to that. I'm going to therapy more often, working on my body. I'm working with the pull tension, with the back tension, because I realized that it helps. And I used to be really close-minded to that. I only work with my trigger release. And I got, after COVID, I got a really bad target panic at the first World Cup in Guatemala, because I was like so happy to be able to shoot again. And I wanted to win that World Cup so badly. My motivation was to win that World Cup. And that wasn't the right motivation to have. I just wanted to be glad to be able to shoot again. I was supposed to be happy to be back with my team. And then I realized my motivation was in the wrong place. So I got a really bad target panic at that competition. And it was a really bad year for me in terms of winning, but in terms of learning, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And we lost a lot of people that year as well. So people like used to talk like, "Oh, she's not the same anymore. She's talking about mental health. Like, she's so weak." But it's good to talk about mental health as well, and to
Absolutely.
let people know that you're human
Yeah.
and you go through things and you feel depressed, and it's okay. So talking about that, they took that as a weakness, but I'm just a human being. And I learned to work with the attention, and I'm getting better and better. I'm getting better scores. So at the end of that year, I won the 2 gold medals at the World Championships, something that I never thought that it could happen to me.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that the motivation in that event was to win 3 medals for 3 people that I lost, and I did. So I'm really happy for that.
Nice. Sarah, I mean, like, we're not live and I can cut this out if you want me to, but you're being very vulnerable, and I am extremely honored that you're being vulnerable about it. The mental health thing, and I think it's an important topic, and I'll tell you why. Post-COVID, I think a lot of people, myself included, everyone has gone through changes and lost people close to us. And I think archery took on a new meaning in a lot of ways, for myself included, that it was our therapy in some ways. Or if it wasn't before, we took for granted what we were able to do. We realized how lucky we are to have our sport. I always say to people, like, because I coach, and I do a lot of online coaching with the Barebow stuff and whatnot, and I always tell people, like, there's a moment at full draw where our brain shuts off and we don't think about anything that stresses us out in life whatsoever. And that's the moment that you need to be thankful for each arrow, because it's one moment where you get a break from anything negative, anything worrisome, anything that, has affected us in any way other than positive for our entire lives. It's that 1 second, maybe a little bit more, where our brain just goes blank and all you're focused on is that one task. And it's kind of, it's cool that you, through COVID, through struggles, through target panic, you were able to bring, not learn that lesson, but like realize how much more important there are other things in life that are more important than just winning, So I am honored that you were even willing to go and talk about that out of the blue, because I wasn't expecting it at all. So.
I think it's good to talk about it, because when I started to feel the target panic and all the World Archery interviews, I talked about mental health, and what they did was to like modify my answers to not talk about it. Like, it's a sin to talk about mental health. So I kept talking about it, and suddenly they started to post my real answers on the social media, because they used to like modify them to not look like I was talking about it. But it's fine to talk about it. I mean,
absolutely.
I've been shooting for 10 years in the national team, and since the first day I had in the national team, I was asked to be perfect, to win, to only shoot 10s. I was only 18 at the time. Some people might think I was an adult, but I felt I was just a kid.
Sure.
So I've been thinking about perfection for 10 years, and it's okay to have a rest, like to not be perfect all the time.
It's such a good message. And I'll tell you who that's a good message for too. Not just competitors, but parents of kids that shoot. Yeah. I don't know about you. I don't know how Colombia is, but I will tell you, you go to our Junior Olympic Archery Development Program, you go to our national tournament for all the kids, the juniors, the cadets, so on and so forth. And you see the way some of the parents are, some of the coaches even are with these youth shooters. And like I've had to walk away from competitions because it makes me upset to see the way coaches and parents will talk to their youth shooters. So, and do you see that in Colombia as well?
Not really. Here
okay. But you've seen it then, because I could tell by the reaction you've seen it.
Yeah, I saw it in Vegas this year.
Okay.
But here in Colombia, it happens with some sports, with soccer. We train next to a soccer field, so we see it all the time. But in archery, we don't. Like, we are just there to have fun and to learn. Of course, the coaches want you to shoot good and shoot 10s, but if you don't, it doesn't matter. Like, it's okay. But I saw it in Vegas. My mother-in-law, she was shooting in the championship senior division for the first time. So she was shooting with the kids, and I went to see her shoot a couple days, and yeah, it was really weird. Like, just let them have fun. They are really young kids, and if you keep them like frustrated about the sport, then they will grow up hating you and hating archery, because that's not the main goal. So I saw it a couple times this year in Vegas. It was really shocking.
Yeah, I don't know if it's part of our culture, because we're like, the American culture is very extremist. Like, we, you know, and in some ways archery's become like so I'll explain it to you. In America, we have what's called travel sports, travel youth sports, and it's become a business, right? Where, like, locally, for example, like I play basketball to this day. I play basketball my entire life. And there's basketball teams that are travel teams, and they have 12 travel teams, all different ages, and it's about money. They make money off of all of these teams. And all of these parents, they're paying $3,000, $5,000 for their kid to travel the country, play in these tournaments, work with these coaches. Like, it's big business. And archery has definitely gone in that direction in some ways here in America. And you see coaches that are like, they try to poach kids. They're like, this kid's mine, this kid's mine, this kid's mine, because they want to put their name on, oh, well, I trained a national champion. I trained whatever. It's because of me. And that's it's one of the reasons I've stepped back from coaching, because it drives me up a wall and I don't know how to change it. But, and that's what you saw in Vegas. You see this pressure to perform. Kids have to have like my Hoyt team jersey is over my shoulder. Yeah, I have some sponsors. It's on there. But these kids have 20 sponsors, and it just, I mean, maybe we're outside of the actual interview right now, just having a general discussion, but it's like, it frustrates me because the focus is, oh, we need to have a sponsor. You need to be on the podium. And I'm glad to hear someone like yourself who is at the level you are, like, you're recognizing like it's a problem, and that's just what I see from my side. But in Colombia, I'm sure it's much different.
Well, not in archery, but I get what you're talking about with soccer. It's the same. Yeah, it's completely the same. Yesterday, we were training, and these kids, they were like 12, I don't know, and they were like playing, and then they started to teach them.
Hold on
he told them,
let it, there's lag, and then you kind of like cut out, so let's let it catch up. Okay, now you're good. I think you're good now.
Okay. So there was like it was raining, so the coach told them, you have to go there to the mat, I don't know how to say it, the mat, and you have to do burpees there, and for each burpee you have to say, I'm sorry, coach. So there were two kids, 12 years old, like completely wet and completely dirty, like saying, I'm sorry, coach, and doing push-ups and doing burpees in the mat, and the parents were there watching them. So it was like shocking to see this guy sitting on the bench punishing these kids because they were just having fun. So I see that all the time with soccer. Like, it's weird, and they try to, like, this kid is mine. I trained that guy. He's in the national team right now, and I was his coach when he was 6 years old. So it's the same.
Oh gosh, it's the world it's the world of youth sports has definitely changed. And as the longer you're in archery and involved in Colombia, the longer you're going to start to see the development within archery itself. You'll start to see. So I'm glad that you know about it, and it's makes me so happy to hear someone of your experience and stature within the sport to be like, yeah, and to speak out against it, I should say, in some ways. It's definitely a struggle to watch happen. But anyway, now that we've completely railroaded this conversation and went way off what we were talking about, but it's okay. So we're gonna go back a little bit and we'll talk about the training side again. Your number of arrows, you said that you really dedicate kind of in preparation for the tournament that's coming up. On average, how many arrows are you shooting per week?
Well, it depends on how close I am to the competition.
Okay.
I've been shooting the least amount per day, 160. The highest amount, 220 per day. So sometimes
One
I shoot,
session or two?
yeah, one session.
One session. Okay.
Yeah, today I have two sessions because I'm leaving tomorrow for nationals, but it also depends. Sometimes
Okay.
I have two sessions, sometimes I have one. Sometimes it rains so badly that I have 0 sessions in one day. So it depends. It's between 160 to 100 for each day, one session. And I shoot every day except for Sundays.
Okay. Are you do you pay close attention to physical fitness? I know you said you were doing some stuff. I thought like is there a specific fitness program? Do you concentrate on recovery, food intake, water, stuff like that? Is that something that's part of your program per se?
It is, and it's supposed to be part of my program, but I love eating and I hate the gym. And well, for example, I was in Puerto Rico for 1 month, and that included the week I was in Vegas and 1 week in Disney World. So you can
Nice.
imagine
Okay.
the amount of food that I ate
Oh
and the
yeah,
lack of
absolutely.
physical activity that I had. But I started this week to eat healthier. I'm always drinking water. That's the only thing that I drink. I don't drink sodas or any of that. I just drink water. And I'm trying to focus on eating healthier. And it's been working really well in the past week and a half. I'm losing weight. I'm feeling better. I don't have migraines. I have migraines all the time. So it's getting less intense, my headaches. So I'm feeling better actually, but I'm supposed to be working on the gym. I just hate the gym so badly.
I mean, I guess to each their own. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people just do it because they enjoy the misery. I think you'll find the program that'll work for you at some point in time or when you're ready to make that commitment. It's tough. Shooting archery has you have to recover from shooting archery both physically and mentally. So it can be difficult to like add another thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you have so much to worry about. Your equipment, your this, is your tune right, your backup bow right, is, and then you have to travel and set up all those plans and blah blah blah, blah. And and then I know for like I've interviewed Paige Pierce before, and Paige is like, listen, I've tuned bows 24 hours before a tournament because I just don't have the time. Like she goes from one event to the next event to this thing to that thing to this trip to that trip. And sometimes you just don't have that option. So it's understandable. It truly is. But it's still, when you talk about shooting 120, 200 some arrows a day at times, it takes up a lot of time. It's a huge chunk of your day. So I
Yeah.
think it is what it is. I'm glad that you got to go to Disney World and had fun while you're over here in America. I was not able to go to Vegas this year. I wish I would have, but maybe I'll catch you. You gonna come back for the Lancaster Classic at any point in time?
I'm planning to. I really want to go, but this year I wanted to go, and I have some issues with my visa. I actually got my visa renewed like 2 weeks before Vegas, so I didn't prepare enough for Vegas.
Or
Um,
for Vegas? Well, you didn't prepare for
yeah,
Vegas, or okay,
so it wasn't an option to go to Lancaster because I didn't
gotcha.
have my visa yet. But maybe next year, I really want to go. I've heard amazing things about the
Oh,
tournament,
it's a fun tournament.
and I just want to try and see how I go. But I'm not an indoor shooter. I only shoot like 2 weeks of indoor every year before
Yeah.
Vegas. That's the only indoor training that I do. And I don't even do that indoors. I do it outdoors because we don't have an indoor range here. So I'm trying to work on my indoor tournaments and start like trying to see if I'm good at indoors. I don't know.
It's a tough game. I mean, it's a tough game because there's no variables. you easily should, not easily, but you can hit the X 60 times in a row easily. If you do everything right. And, sometimes outdoors, wind, rain, external factors can affect everything, humidity, sun, shade, whatever. And we are a little more accepting of maybe not the best arrow, but
Yeah.
indoors, that's out the door.
Yeah,
It's
I
just,
get it.
yeah. And so, yeah, we definitely, and indoor archery in America is huge. It's a big endeavor because
Mhm.
our seasons, it's very cold in the winter. It's, I think, 29 degrees outside right now, and I'm fortunate. I live 1 hour from Lancaster, so I'm very
Okay.
close. It's an easy tournament for me to go to, but the format is so cool. And it's, the head to head is against whoever you face. And once you never know who you, some amazing shooters out there that do not are not pro shooters. And it's neat to be able to see that dynamic of, there's every pro shooter out there has a target on their back by somebody who's coming up through, and they want nothing more. And in head to heads, anything can happen. So I hope you make it next year. It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome to finally meet you.
Yeah, I'm planning to go.
That's
I
cool.
will be there. I probably will be there.
Outstanding. I think there was one other thing I wanted to ask you, and that's just like key components to, like, is there any specific thing that you always do before a tournament in your preparation, like shooting drills or superstitions, like good luck charms? Like, is there anything that you absolutely positively have to do? Like, I know shooters that they have to have like certain food, they have to do a certain, do you have anything like that in your?
Yeah, a lot of things actually. For example, our team, we always bring our own coffee to every tournament. We always like to bring our own coffee, so that's one thing. I also wear the same kind of shoes all the time. I found these New Balance shoes that I love them. I have like 12 pairs of that kind of shoes because I feel they are so comfortable, and I always use them. I don't know what I'm going to do when I can't find them anymore, but I have a lot of those. And I always pray, like, I always say, and I always ask God, like, whatever you want to happen, I'm okay with that. I just want to have fun. And if you want me to win, great. And if you want me to lose, great. I will do my best and hope for the best. But I have to understand that every archer trains the same. They train really hard. They want to win as much as I want to win. They deserve to win as much as I deserve to win. So sometimes what I don't, it's okay. It means that something better is coming around the corner. So that's like my mentality every time I go to the finals venue.
Oh, that's outstanding. That's good stuff. That's grade A information for would-be competitors. I love the coffee thing. I should not be surprised because you're from Colombia. But do you literally like travel with your own coffee?
Yeah, we always bring every tournament there's somebody's turn to bring the coffee. So we always buy the coffee at the airport, and every tournament is somebody else's turn to bring the coffee to the
All right.
tournament.
Well, listen. If you have Venmo or PayPal, I will send you money. Please bring me coffee when you come to Lancaster. Okay.
Okay,
I
yeah. And if I
love
don't, I will
coffee.
send some because some archers they're from Colombia, they're always there and they're really good friends to me. So I will send you some coffee next time if I'm not able to be in Lancaster.
Oh, that's, well, whatever. I mean, I was being facetious. Yeah, I was just, but at the same time, like, I love coffee. I absolutely, I love coffee. So at any rate, but it makes sense, and now I get it. And I think that's kind of like a team building thing too. Like, I love that it creates some camaraderie of amongst your team and stuff like that. Speaking of the whole team thing, so are you, so in America's weird the way that we do the Team USA. Our
Mhm.
shooters, they're not really supported by the government. Do you get support from the government to be able to train all of the time, or do you have to work a job as well?
No, archery is the only thing that I do. But it's not like every archer in Colombia can live out of archery. It's
Sure.
just that I got lucky with my contracts and stuff.
Right.
And also, my dad, he teach me really well how to do my financials.
Yeah.
So I invest my money the correct way. So I
Gotcha.
don't go crazy spending money. We usually get support, but in years like this year, when you have the Olympic qualification tournaments, compound doesn't get as much support as it should. So right now, today, I can't say which World Cups I'm attending to this year.
Right.
I might even just go to the one in Colombia, because there's no money, and the money that we get, it's usually it goes to recurve, because they need to qualify for the Olympics.
Same.
So it's really sad, actually, but it is what it is. And every single year we try to do better and better, and to prove that compound deserve the same respect and the same amount of money that recurve. But our government and our Olympic committee, they don't care about you unless you can win Olympic medals.
Right.
So that's it. I mean, we're okay with that. We learned how to live with that, and we always like enjoy the 3 years before the Olympic qualification year, because the other years we get support. For example, last year that we had the World Games, we had a lot of support, but only for 2 archers. We deserve the support for the 6 archers of the team, not only 2. But it is what it is.
So we're talking Olympic to talk here a little bit, and talking about the support for recurve. The word on the street is that we may see compound added to the Olympics in the future.
Yeah.
That's something that you're thinking about, considering with your training, because it's a different format. I'm sure you know those details, because we're talking indoor archery. I don't personally think it was the best format to choose, but it is what it is. So where does your brain go when you heard compound might be added to the Olympics? What is that? What's happening there? Will you tell me is that like game on? This is a new venture for me, or we'll see what happens when the time gets here?
I don't know. I've been through a lot of different ideas in my mind. The first time that I heard, I was really happy. Then I heard it was indoors, so I was really mad. Not because I'm not good at indoors, it's because the decision was made based on just protecting the recurve archery. Second, they don't think about Latin American archers. We don't have indoor ranges here, like nobody does.
Right.
And if you don't get support for the World Cups here, you don't even have support for the indoor World Cups. Like, you can't ask the government for that support. So the decision was made, like, I don't know, maybe they heard like, maybe you can be here in the Olympics. They decided, okay, that's fine, we'll take that option. But they didn't think about Latin American archers. Sure. So it's a really long conversation to have, but basically it's not good for us, because our governments won't support us for that. They won't build indoor ranges for us. We won't be able to travel to the World Cups, to the indoor World Cups.
Yep.
So it's really bad for us, actually. We will see what happens next. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 5 years, 10 years. I don't know. But since winning an Olympic medal wasn't in my plans, because it wasn't an option, a real option. Right. I've never had that dream, because it's impossible. Like today, it's impossible to win an Olympic medal for me. So it's not a dream. As soon as I get the confirmation that it's happening, I will see what can I do to work to get that medal. But for now, my only option, like if today they said, yeah, it's an option, you can go to the Olympics, my only option will be to move to the US and find a place where I can shoot indoors, because here is not an option. So I will have to change my whole life, leave my family here, and I won't be able to represent my local team anymore. That means no more money from the local government, and also means I won't be able to be traveling to Colombia to the national trials. So that means I won't be in the national team anymore. which
Right.
means I won't be getting money. So it's a really like
Yeah.
conversation to have.
Yep.
But I don't know. I see. I think it's a possibility that we will get in the Olympics. I don't know if I will be there, but I don't know. Time will tell.
I think that's a fair evaluation, and I think that it's good for you to be able to voice that, because a lot of people, the initial thought is, oh, yay, compounds in the Olympics, and then you look at the again, an unexciting, relatively unexciting format of the sport, and it becomes, oh well, and it's because it's spectator friendly, and it can probably be commercially driven in some ways, but like, as in all of the formats that we do, it's not the most exciting one.
Yeah.
um and it's probably the least exciting one, actually, but it's easier to cover, it's easier for commercially to handle it, and I'm sure that they had to put all of the situations, the pros and cons, and try to come up with a decision. That's above both of our pay grades, so we don't need to worry. That's not our decision. But at the same time, they are, in America, it's different. While we don't have government support for our shooters at all, um, we do have some sponsorship driven stuff and big companies that can help in some shooters, right? Some very small percentage. Um, but in a country like Colombia, I can see where it's a major disadvantage. Not You can still shoot outside, so you can still shoot the game, but it's not the same. There's definitely differences. So, but it's good that you were able to voice that and put it out there. I think it needs to be heard, and your opinion has value. So people are going to hear that, and it might shed some light on what it's like for someone from Colombia or some other smaller countries to deal with this positive thing. But in some ways, it's like hey, dangling the carrot out in front of the
Yeah.
that you
It
just
won't
can't get to.
change anything at all. And I
Yeah.
think it's weird because you might need to build an outdoor archery range and an indoor range for the Olympics. It will be easier to just move the targets from 70 meters to 50 meters, and then you will only invest in one field. And it's the same judges, the same field, the same targets. I mean, it's less money to invest. Also, I think about what people will see on the TV. If you see a bunch of people shooting arrows at 18 meters, only shooting 10s, then the average person will think archery is easy. I can do that. I mean, it will be weird to see archery
Good
like
point.
a joke, because people will think I can do that. It looks easy. And let's be honest, we archers, we don't have like this amazing body. We are not athletes. So we
Well,
are
we're
just
athletes. Hold on. We're athletes to an extent with the game that we
yeah.
play. But I get what you're saying. We're not
That you
doing a
see people
physical.
running and people swimming, and then you see
Yeah,
us shooting arrows at 18 meters
yeah,
indoors,
yeah,
and the average person will think, yeah, that's easy, I can do that. Like,
yeah.
I'm not sure if I will be happy with hearing all the opinions about compound archery. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
I hear what you're saying. I think there's definitely some validity to that. I mean, look at some of these winter sports. There's what's the one where they push like the thing down the ice?
Yeah, I
Curling,
know. Yeah.
curling, ping pong. Ping pong's actually pretty crazy though. I mean, I guess in retrospect, hey, there's Olympic walking, all right? Like
Mhm.
there's that. So yeah, we walk, pull some bows back, shoot some arrows downrange. But
Mhm.
yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think there could be some negative. I think they're looking at it from a growth perspective. They think, oh, people are going to see archery in the Olympics, are going to want to try it. That's what they're looking at.
Yeah.
That's probably as far as they've researched it, but again, those are all these other organizations that they handle all that stuff. We're just out there doing the grunt work.
Yeah.
But all right, good. I appreciate your candidness about that. I think it's important to hear that. Before we kind of end it, What equipment are you shooting? Who are your sponsors, and where can people find you? So let's start with your equipment.
So I'm using Hoyt. I've used Hoyt my whole life. I love Hoyt. And I'm using the 37 with #1 cams, the CVX.
Okay.
I'm also using gas bowstrings, the Ghost bowstrings. I've been using them for like 6 months. I love them.
Yeah.
And
Eric's
I
a good
actually
guy
love,
too. Eric,
yeah,
he's a good guy. He's a real
he's
good guy.
amazing. Yeah, he's really nice. The whole family is amazing.
Mhm.
I've been using the Stratos since the World Cup finals.
Okay.
Actually, I took my bow 3 days before the World Cup finals, and I won the World Cup finals with the Stratos. So I'm really happy with that bow. I'm shooting also Axel and True Bow for a while. I love their products. I'm shooting uh, the back tension is the, I forgot the name. The Executive. I got it in Vegas. I've been shooting with that for a couple weeks. I love it. I might shoot with that one in the nationals next week. So we will see what happens. And I'm using the Biter Arrow Rest.
Okay.
I love that rest. I've been using that my whole life. And Bistinger stabilization. It's really steady for me. I really like it. I've tried different brands. They're really bad for my elbow. I have a problem in my elbow, the vibration. So that one, I really like that one. And of course, Stone Arrows. I've only tried Stone Arrows my whole life.
What arrows are you shooting? What model?
The 570 Pro Tour.
Okay.
Extend Pro Tour. And Flex Fletch. I love Flex Fletch.
Yeah.
They're really durable and I love them. They're really nice as well. And I think that's it.
Okay, perfect. And are you social media? Where can people follow you and keep up with your journey as you move forward?
Well, I'm really active on Instagram. You can see everything from my regular life, my pets, my training sessions. It's Sara Lopez 150 on Instagram, and you can follow me there. I'm really active there, and I ask for a lot of questions there as well. So you can follow me.
You said you have pets? I don't remember seeing
Yeah.
posts with pets. Are you sure? Let me
I
look.
have
I'm gonna
2
look.
dogs
I'm looking
and
for
4
your
cats.
pets. I don't see pets. Where are pets? I don't see any pets.
I usually post them on my stories, not on the post.
Oh, okay, that's why, because I might not catch the story. You have 2 dogs?
2 dogs and 4 cats.
4 cats?
Yeah.
You're not a crazy cat lady, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
What dogs
I
do you
love
have?
dogs and cats. I have a Chihuahua. He's 12 years old. He's really annoying. And I have a golden retriever. He's
Okay.
6 or 7 years old. He's like a little baby. I love him.
Yeah.
And I have a Persian cat that I got for my birthday 6 years ago. And my other cats are just rescued cats.
Oh, nice.
That
Okay.
had a really bad background. One of them was found in a dumpster. The other one was found in a river, in
Oh
a
my
bag.
gosh.
And the other one was being abused by a family. He was being beaten all the time. So I just rescued them.
Good for
And I
you.
really want to adopt another dog. I'm trying to convince my parents because I travel all the time and they are the ones that take care of my dogs and my cats.
Right.
So I will try to convince them to have another dog.
We have 2 dogs. We have 2. One's a lab. They're both rescues. One's a lab, and then the other one's a half pit bull, half lab. But she's like amazing, absolutely amazing. And they're both rescues. One was at a kill shelter. I don't know if you have them in Colombia, but we have.
Yeah.
And she was on the short list. And not kidding. My wife one day, she's scrolling through Facebook, and one of those posts up. This is Sadie. She has 7 days. She's on the kill list because she has pit bull, Staffordshire Terrier in her. She's 50-50 DNA. If she's not adopted, blah, 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 blah. There's a network of people in America that if you can adopt a dog and they will volunteer to drive that dog across the country.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Crazy. 4 people helped get our Sadie. She's downstairs sleeping probably and snoring. from like 4 states away, all the way across, that we met them like a quarter of the way, and didn't even know her, didn't even, just got her, didn't meet her. She was like, "Hey, I'm here," and immediately just right into our family. So I have so much respect for people who rescue animals and adopt. I think, what is the slogan? Adopt, don't shop.
Yeah.
So Chihuahuas, though, they're a little crazy. I don't know. Is your Chihuahua bigger than the cats or no?
No.
No, the cats are bigger.
No.
All right.
Yeah,
So
the cats are big.
who's the boss then of all of the animal? Who's the boss?
The Chihuahua. Yeah, he's crazy. He's really old. We used to have another one, but he was really old and he died last year.
Yeah.
He was 13, I believe. So we
Okay.
used to have three dogs, 4 cats. But yeah, the old Chihuahua, he's the boss. He's always beating my golden retriever and the cats.
Well, and those little dogs live forever, like it seems.
Yeah.
Compared to they just like, when are you just gonna kick the can, you know? But yeah, I get it. That's funny. The Chihuahua, the 12-year-old dog, is the boss of all the animals.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sarah, if there's anything else, otherwise, I mean, it was a great podcast. I appreciate you taking the time out, and you know, this platform is yours. If you ever have something that, you know, you feel passionate about, something that you want to get out to the masses, by all means, shoot me a message, and my platform is your platform, so that you can, if it means helping Columbia archers, helping other archers, or just something that you are, you know, you have, you know, you feel is important to get out, this platform is always yours. Everyone, Sara Lopez. I guess that's it. We're gonna call it a day.